Here's a question that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but isn't. What if the most chaotic decade in American politics was also an accident? Not the politics part, the reveal. Because whatever you think of Donald Trump, love him, hate him, exhausted by him, everybody's exhausted. He did something no political scientist ever managed to do. He ran a live stress test on American power. Every institution, every norm, every referee, all tested at once, in public, for years. And the results are not what the textbook says. This is a story about what that stress test revealed, about why the rules you learned in civics class were never really the rules. Did one man, without meaning to, show us how modern power actually works? Start with the version we all got taught. Congress writes the laws, the president executes the laws, the courts check them both. Three branches locked in a beautiful triangle of mutual suspicion. Ambition counteracting ambition, like the founders designed. Everyone accountable to everyone. A machine so elegant it's run for 2.5 centuries. That's the textbook. Hold on to it, because almost none of what happens next is in there. Because here's what the textbook skips. Most of what keeps a government behaving isn't law at all. It's norms. Releasing your tax returns? Not a law, a habit. Divesting your businesses? A custom. Holding press conferences, conceding when you lose, treating the Justice Department as independent? Tradition, tradition, tradition. The machine doesn't run on rules, it runs on manners. And manners only bind the people who agree to have them. Now, 2015, a presidential primary with 16 serious candidates, governors, senators, a world-famous brain surgeon, and a reality television host who had never held office, never served, never run for anything. You know how this ends. Everyone knows how this ends. But why it ended that way? That's the part that rewrote the playbook. By March of 2016, one analysis put his free media coverage at around $2 billion. Billion, with a B, more than every rival combined. He didn't buy attention, he was attention. Cable networks cut away from other candidates' speeches to show an empty podium, waiting for him to walk out. An empty podium was outrating actual candidates saying actual things. That's not a campaign. That's a broadcast phenomenon wearing a campaign as a costume. And this is the first big reveal. We used to think attention was a byproduct of power. You become important and then the cameras show up. He ran it in reverse. The cameras show up and that makes you important. Whoever the cameras follow sets the agenda. One post before breakfast in the entire news cycle, every network, every rival, every foreign ministry spent the day responding to him. Agenda control used to take a party machine. Now it takes a phone. And the machine on the other side wanted this. The algorithm rewards conflict because outrage is engagement and engagement is revenue. Every provocation was a ratings event. The media covered him to death, and the coverage, positive or negative, didn't matter. It all converted into the same currency. He and the outrage economy weren't enemies. They were business partners who insulted each other in public. So what happened when attention power collided with the old machine? We found out which guardrails were steel and which were just paint. Investigations that went nowhere. 2 impeachments, 2 acquittals, decided almost entirely along party lines. Norms shattered on a weekly basis, while the beautiful triangle from the textbook mostly just watched. It turns out a check only checks if someone is willing to cash it. And then there was January 6th, a sitting president disputing an election he lost, a crowd walking into the Capitol to stop the count. For a few hours, the peaceful transfer of power, the thing America literally exports as its brand, was an open question. The machine held. Barely, but barely, was the reveal. Nobody watching that day could go back to believing the guardrails were made of steel. Here's the other thing the stress test surfaced. The presidency came preloaded with enormous powers that previous presidents were simply too cautious or too embarrassed to fully use. Pardons used without apology, emergency declarations, tariffs imposed by signature, acting officials never confirmed by anyone. None of those powers were new. What was new was the willingness. And that's reveal number 2. Power isn't what the rules allow. Power is what the referees will actually stop. And everyone took notes. Politicians of every party on every continent watched the stress test and updated their playbooks. Govern as content. Campaign forever. Pick fights on purpose because the fight is the message. Flood the zone because a scandal a day means no scandal at all. Never apologize because apology is weakness and weakness doesn't trend. Politics as attention warfare is now the default setting. He didn't just win with the playbook, he open sourced it. And it spread way past politics. Billionaires stopped hiring lobbyists to charm the press and started buying the platforms instead. CEOs learned to speak directly to millions, unfiltered, unedited, unchallenged. Influencers built audiences bigger than networks. The lesson everyone absorbed was identical. Why lobby the media when you can be the media? The gatekeepers didn't lose their gates. The walls around the gates just disappeared. So, did he plan to reveal any of this? No, of course not. That's the accidentally part. A stress test doesn't need to understand the bridge to find its weak points. It just needs to push on everything at once and see what bends. He wasn't running an experiment on American power. He was just being himself at maximum volume in the most powerful office on earth. The experiment happened anyway. And to be fair, the test also showed us what held. Courts ruled against him hundreds of times, and the rulings mostly stuck. Elections ran, recounts recounted, officials of his own party certified results they were pressured not to certify. Reporters kept reporting. The machine is weaker than we hoped. It is also stronger than we feared. Both of those are true at the same time, and pretending otherwise is its own kind of misinformation. So here's what the accidental reveal comes down to. The textbook was wrong about where power lives. It doesn't live in marble buildings. It lives in attention. Yours. Modern power is the ability to stay on your screen and the audacity to use every inch of the rules while everyone else is still asking permission. The feed is the new floor of Congress, and every scroll is a vote. One man showed us the game without meaning to. What we do now that we can see it, that part isn't his story, it's ours.